Welcome once again to Retirement Designed Differently with Billy Voiles, financial advisor and founder of Fundamental Wealth Designs right here in Minnesota. I'm your host, 𝘃𝗍𝗍𝗍. Billy, it is great to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Spike?
I'm good. What's on your mind this week?
To work or not to work? That is the question that we've been running into a lot, so let's chat about it.
All right, I choose not to. Well,
Well, come on in, schedule your appointment. We'll sit down and check out to see if you can retire.
This is an incredible program. I'm very excited about this. Billy has put this together today. How do we determine when is the right time for you to go ahead, jump into that great retirement, stay there, and know that you've got enough income to live the lifestyle that we want to? That's exactly what we're going to answer throughout today's program. To work or not to work, how do you know when is the right time? Now, Billy, that's awesome to hear as a setup for the show, but there's a lot of factors that go into it. We've got viewers out there, different ages, different stages. They've saved different amounts. There's all different kinds of companies around here. How and when do you feel comfortable to tell somebody, go ahead, you're ready to retire?
Well, I think first you need to want to retire, and there needs to be some sort of urgency for you to want to take that step into retirement. And that's a difficult step, more than just financially, but emotionally and physically. You're not going to wake up and have that 8 to 5. So what are you going to do all week long? So we encourage to sort of challenge our clients to think through, what does retirement mean to you? Your life is going to change. So really, what is your lifestyle? What do you want it to look like in retirement? And that's one of the things we walk through with them, not just their finances, but what does retirement look like to you just on a day-to-day basis?
Billy, we've seen very high inflation. Costs have remained high. Higher interest rates, although that's created some fun, safer money vehicles out there. Is now a good time to retire? Is this a good middle of the decade to go ahead and say yes?
I think it's about the best time to retire in the last 30 years. And the reason is stock markets just recently again hit their all-time highs. We can get out at the top of the market and retire. That would be a fantastic time to retire. Interest rates are their highest levels we've seen in 17 or 18 years. And what that does for you in retirement is provides fixed income rates for those paychecks that you can live, that mailbox money that you need in order to retire off of. If interest rates are high, you'll get a higher payout. Your pension payouts are higher. Your annuity payouts are higher. So what you can transition your 401k into a paycheck, it's significantly more, almost double what it was 3-4 years ago.
Now, how do you lock that in, though? I mean, you say the stock market is up. For all we know, tomorrow when the market opens, it could drop, 2,000 points. We don't know what's going to happen next. How do we lock it in? How do we keep it there? We've discussed this before. There's different tools, but we don't want to take everything out of the market. We don't want to put everything into safe money because interest rates could go down as well. How do we keep it where this, as you're saying, great environment to retire? How do we make sure it stays there?
We use different instruments, but we figure out, and again, this is about some of the fundamentals of retirement in terms of creating a budget and knowing and understanding what are our income and what are our expenses. So then we dive in deeper into the actual incomes that you have. Social Security is typically where we start, but then it goes into, do you have a pension? In Minnesota, we have a lot of pensions that are offered from various companies, but most of it's going to come from your state workers. But you do have, whether it's PARA or MSRS or one of the other Minnesota retirement systems, there's a lot of pensions out there. So if you have a pension, we want to figure out how to maximize your pension. After Social Security and pensions, then it gets more difficult, because those are sort of guaranteed income options. But past that, now you have a 401k or a 403b, and now you're trying to figure out, all right, how much of this should I spend? So what we do is we do an income gap analysis and figure out if $3,000 a month is coming in from Social Security, but you spend $5,000, well, that's pretty simple. We need to go find $2,000 a month from somewhere. And let me ask the viewers a question. Would you rather hope or know that that extra $2,000 you need every month is coming in for the rest of your life? So again, would you rather hope or know that money's coming in? And I'll dive into the reasons why I asked that.
I'm pretty sure I would definitely like to know. Let's go backwards, though. How do we know? How do you tell people? Does it start with a number saying, look, to comfortably retire here in Minnesota, $1 million? we're looking at 25, 30 years of a retirement, or $1.5 million or $2 million? Has it gone up from there? Or is it saying work as long as you can? If you hit that full retirement age, 65, 66, turn on the Social Security. Which is it for you? What helps you determine? Is it target based, or is it based on age and longevity?
It's really all depends. And I know my lawyer would be happy with that answer because it's a broad answer that doesn't mean anything, and I don't mean to give it, but a lot of our clients typically come in and they have between $300,000 and $3 million is what they're bringing to us to retire on. And I can say that we could put together a plan for both. It just depends. One of the things it depends on is how much you spend on a monthly basis. And I have a couple of plants in my office that I point to. One is a cactus. The other is an evergreen. And I joke that some clients are like the cactus. Doesn't need a lot of water to live on. It gets by. Others are like the evergreen. They need a gallon of water a day. They need a lot of income in retirement in order to live on. So it really depends on your individual budget, your savings, your desire to retire. All of this enters the equation when we try to figure out, all right, is now the right time to retire? Can we retire confidently?
I fear this is a base misconception. Do you live on less money in retirement than what you were spending while you were working? Do you have about the same monthly income needs, or is it sometimes actually higher than when you were working?
Yeah, so there's a saying, every day's a Saturday, and that is certainly sort of true in retirement. We talk to retirees and they're like, what day is it today? I don't know. I don't have to go to work, so I lost track of the days. So that is one of the things that we do think expenses tend to creep up a little bit, for sure in the early years of retirement, because you want to take those trips that you've been waiting to take. You want to visit the grandkids and spoil the grandkids and spend extra time. And you do simply have every day where you don't have to go to work. So let's ask the viewers, do you spend more money on a Saturday than you do on a Tuesday? The answer is probably yes, and if every day is a Saturday, then...
Sometimes I walk out the door and I'm like, and by the time I'm like, how did I spend $100? How did I spend $200?
Yeah.
And if you go to the grocery store,
yeah,
forget, there's $400 right there.
Yeah, and Minneapolis is the home of Target. My wife can't walk into Target without spending $200. Costco can't walk into Costco without spending $400. I mean, it's just the way things are right now, that things are so expensive. So as you're entering into retirement with an inflation that's sort of spiraling out of control, that's another sort of thing that we have to consider when creating your retirement plan, is that inflation piece as well.
Well, very quickly, I would like the viewers to know a little bit more about you. We've been broadcasting out in the area for a little while, but we'd like to play a little bit of a message here about the fundamental philosophy here of fundamental wealth designs. Exactly what Billy, as a financial advisor, does for folks who are stepping to and are in retirement. We can review what your current situation is. We can show you different ways that we can get you on the pathway to be retired and show you financially exactly what that would look like. So don't go anywhere. Continue to watch this message. But even while you're doing that, you can call the phone number down on the bottom of the screen and set up your own no-cost appointment to get started on your own no-cost retirement design with Billy Voiles of Fundamental Wealth Designs. Watch this message right here.
Changing from now being an entrepreneur and running our own business and working with clients, it's challenging, but that's what makes it fun, right? If you woke up and did the same exact thing every day, made a widget, and then the next day you make another widget, and the next day you make another widget, this really, every day is a new day. And every client, all their plans are going to be different. They're going to be designed specifically for them, because you can't create a cookie cutter plan today that's going to fit everybody. That's not how it works. In order for it to be the best, it has to be tailored specifically to them. Meeting with people is fantastic. We love doing events. We do events all over the Twin Cities. I love speaking in front of people and educating, providing people education for their retirements. I enjoy putting the plans together and knowing that it'll set them on the right path that they need to be on for retirement.
Welcome back to Retirement Designed Differently with Billy Voiles. He's the founder of Fundamental Wealth Designs, a financial advisor himself. I'm your host, 𝘃_SPANGLE. Thank you so much for watching that message of what Billy and the team do here. Let's talk about the real people, folks who come in. I know you do live events. I know you've been the author of this great new book of yours, To Roth or Not to Roth, very tax informative information, but your process is holistic. You talk about investments, taxes, estate planning. Folks come in and for me, I read a statistic somewhere that people are more nervous to come in and see your financial advisor than go into their dentist. I guess they're worried about what you might say to them, or say, oh my God, you haven't saved enough, I can't help you out at all.
Yeah.
What is it like when folks come in and you're able to do those numbers for them and say, this is what I think is possible for your future?
Well, I think, folks, you're out there, and retirement is confusing. It's complicated when it comes to financials. You know, you have 5, 6, or 7 different accounts. You and your spouse might each have an IRA, each have a Roth, maybe you still have 401ks at your existing employers, and you're trying to figure out this complicated scenario, also being faced with a large life change that you might not be working anymore. So there really is just a lot involved in it. And also those accounts might be spread out. They might be at 4 or 5 different institutions. So it makes the whole process sort of overwhelming to a certain extent. And that's when people come in, they really feel relaxed after they come in, we have a cup of coffee, and we just sit and talk and get to know them a little bit in the first appointment. And it starts to sort of bring down, you know, their stress levels a little bit. And then by the end of the second and third appointments, when we go through the process and we really consolidate, simplify, and give them a plan forward, that's what sort of provides them the ultimate stress relief. And then on the other side of it, then they're relaxed and they can feel better about their finances, which can allow them to go out and enjoy their retirement.
All right, let's pull back the curtain here. You've seen those home makeover shows, right? They go in and they rip everything. I'm fascinated to see what these folks can do with you know, the baseboards and everything they've got there, and they put on the finishing touches and they totally rebuild it. Tell us maybe about some clients who have come in recently. Don't tell me their last names, but you know, what does it look like? Seriously, when somebody comes in, so our viewers can know what they're going to get when they call the phone number.
Yeah, absolutely. So an example was this couple was age 62. And one of their big concerns was, how do I bridge the gap in healthcare costs between 60, 62, and 65? And what you'll find is that depending on the income plan we structure and how much income you actually are showing on your tax returns, the amount that healthcare could cost you might be a lot less than you think. So we work with a local healthcare broker who's an expert in the area that we partner with that can provide people with the right plans in their healthcare to help them bridge that all-important gap to get to age 65, where then you have access to Medicare. So if you're thinking about retiring early, it might actually be easier than you think. And early is, you know, subjective, but it might actually be easier than you think to retire. Don't let healthcare be the only thing in your way to retire. We can certainly find solutions for it.
This couple, were they both the exact same age? Were they both 62?
Yeah, these folks both happen to be age 62, so a little bit circumstantial there. But we help them to create a plan that's going to last the rest of their lives, and we included a budget to help pay for that sort of healthcare gap in between. One of them actually started Social Security at age 62 because it was the right thing to do. The other one is deferring off a few years until later. But still, it's an effective way to sort of set up a retirement plan, even if they want to retire early. So it was great working with them, and now their plans are all set up and they're off to the races.
Did they both happen to work, or was this based on his savings?
So they both worked. He had a 401k, she had a pension. So a little bit of a mix of the story that we usually tell. But between their Social Securities and their pensions, it still wasn't enough to keep up with them. So we created an income plan, a little bit of the 401k. We invested for growth. We have some Roth conversions planned in order to create income down the road and legacy down the road. You know, we really, again, there are so many tools in our tool belt, and we want to make sure we use all of them in order to give you the best retirement design for you and your family for the rest of your life. So if you're out there and you're working with, say, an investment advisor that hasn't talked to you about your tax plan, they won't give you advice on when and how to take Social Security. If they aren't talking about risk management tools, then it's time to maybe get a second opinion on that and walk through our process to find out what are the other ideas, what are some other strategies that you can employ in your retirement in order to get more money back in your pocket and, you know, create really a confident retirement plan where you can go out and spend your money. That's one of the things we like to do, is help people spend their money. We want you to spend your money in retirement.
Yeah, and I've got to say, it can't always be perfect. It can't always be sunshine, right? Maybe, can you also kind of give me an example of somebody who might have a shortfall right now, but positive working steps that you were able to, not like we make fun of anybody who comes in the office or say, why didn't you save for the last 30 years? We realize that life is complex. You're putting your kids through college. There's different job changes and so forth. What about someone where we've got to be constructively positive?
Yeah, and that's what happens. A lot of times people will come in and they'll sort of be apologetic to us a little bit about their current situation and sort of how they got to where they got to. And please don't apologize for what happened in the past. Our acronym is FWD. So when you come in, we don't dwell upon the past. We don't dwell upon what you coulda, woulda, and should have done. That's not what matters here. What matters is looking forward, FWD. What matters is looking forward at the future and creating the best plan forward for you. And it's one of those things that, because money is a funny thing. It spikes a lot of spikes a lot of emotions out there, and creates a lot of feelings that are different because it is a sensitive topic. So
the three greatest things to bring up at Thanksgiving dinner: politics, money, religion. Right? Let's throw that out over the.
You're going to have a fun discussion on all three of those.
No, but it is incredible that money is a lot like religion in the way we have our beliefs, and if you talk about something in the opposite way, it really starts to stir emotions. But you look at it more like a tool and assigning it literally jobs. It's not something we get emotional about. If we're behind, what we got to do is we need to collect more tools. If you have something, we want to be as efficient with those tools as possible, but trying to take our emotions out of the retirement planning. With all of the different organizations that are around here, how are you seeing people doing as they come in? Are we effectively saving enough? Because today's program is to retire or not to retire. Yeah. How do you know the difference?
Yeah.
How are folks doing in those 401ks and some of these really, really big organizations that are here in Minnesota?
Lately, they've been doing fantastic. And we've seen a lot of people walking in our office with $700,000 in their 401k, $1 million in their 401k, $1.5 million in their 401k, because they have been working there for 20, 25, 30 years, and they've left it alone, and they've sort of let it be. But now you're in that critical moment where we are at an all-time high in the stock market, and interest rates are at a 17-year high. And now is the absolute best time to take a look at, can you retire? So I encourage you to call the number. Call 888-379-1846 to find out if now is really the right time for you to retire. What you're going to get out that, we have we have people standing by to answer the phones. And they're going to answer your phone. They have access to my calendar, and they can set you up on an appointment or a phone call where we can walk through the initial steps with you to figure out, is retirement right for you? And then you can come into the office and sit down and walk through that foundation appointment where we get to know more about you and your particular situation and run the deep dive analysis to figure out and inform you, educate you more on where you are today. Because we want to really give a deep education and understanding for you of where you sit with your current portfolio. Then we walk through the process of sort of our recommendations, which sort of explain our retirement design for you and how it's going to work. And we do that by putting purpose behind the assets. What is the emergency money meant to do? What is the income money meant to do? What's the growth money for? Where is it going to come from? And then legacy. So if we take care of your emergencies, then we work on your income plan, then we go to your growth plan, and then your legacy plan. It makes more sense to you, and it provides structure. And that's what people tell us all the time, that their current advisor was not providing them the same structure that we do inside our plan, and that's why they work with us. So if you're sitting out there wondering what it might look like, give us a call, 888-379-1846, and we have callers standing by, and we're happy to take your call and set that appointment with you. We look forward to meeting with you.
You can claim your own retirement design, as Billy just said, by calling the phone number below. Another function you can do if you want to, I know most of us are watching TV with our phones in our hands, open up your phone to the camera function. You can point it at that QR code. When you click on that, it'll take you over to our website, and you can claim your own appointment right there. The retirement design is no cost to you, our television viewers. You just have to make the appointment. Let's find out what your income strategy could look like in retirement. More with Billy Voiles, financial advisor, when we get back right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Retirement Designed Differently with Billy Voiles, financial advisor and the founder of Fundamental Wealth Designs. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. This is, of course, our favorite segment. You might need a financial advisor if. And this one this week is you might need a financial advisor if you do not understand the tax implications of your 401k. Now, you were just talking about some of the great organizations here. We've got Medtron, Abbott, Boston, Cargill, Best Buy, 3M, Target, all of these huge organizations that are here. And you've seen people save hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million or more, in these retirement accounts. But you said, I heard you at a live event say, you don't actually have all of that.
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's my account, it's my name on it. I see 1.2 million.
Yeah.
How is that not all mine?
Yeah, because you can't spend your 401k money because it is, at this point, tax deferred. So you've not paid taxes on most of it. Now, if you have a Roth 401k, and we talk about Roth a lot, of course, we highlight it in our book, Too Roth or Not Too Roth, but you haven't paid taxes on it yet. So we have federal tax to pay. We have state income tax to pay. So your $1 million 401k might only be worth $600,000 to you as you take it out. So we need a tax plan in order to maximize your IRA distributions that are going to go in your pocket.
Okay, and again, with all of these wonderful organizations that are here, let's say we're 60, 61, 62. There's something that I've heard about how we can move the money to ourselves. It's not necessarily closing down our 401k. Maybe we're going to continue to work. Can you explain a little bit about what that is and why someone would want to move money from their own 401k while they're still working?
Absolutely, and some of our viewers out there are very familiar with the term rollover, and we try not to use our industry jargon, but we do get stuck in it sometimes. So a rollover is taking your 401k or your 403b or your MNDCP plan, your 457 plan there, and you roll it over into an IRA. There is no taxation on it, so you don't pay any taxes in the transfer or the rollover, but then you have more control. And we always talk about taking control of what you can. And by rolling that 401k into an IRA, then that opens the door for us to do tax plans and income plans and different types of investment plans that aren't available inside your employer plan.
There are some folks who unfortunately think that there's no cost to using their 401k, and I'm not saying don't use yours. We definitely want put in up to the match, put in more than that if you can. We want you to save as aggressively as possible, but there's costs anywhere we go. But some people think there are no costs in their 401ks that they're using at work. So why would I ever roll it out? I mean, this is my employer plan. I'm sure it's as inexpensive as possible. Is that always true? Yeah,
and we actually had a client that came in and they had been told over and over and over again, there are no fees inside your 401k, there are no fees inside your 401k, there are no fees. And what she was being told is that they have lowered the just traditional administration fees inside of 401k. So they're not charging you to run the plan. But where you invest in the various mutual funds that you invest in inside your 401k, those can have significant fees and expenses embedded that are sort of behind the scenes working. And a lot of times it's 0.5%, maybe up to 1% for some of those mutual funds that you're allocating to, and you're not aware of the fees you're paying inside your 401k. Right, and unfortunately those are the funds that are available to you. And again, we're not saying not to use them, but what we'd like for you to do is to do that cost and risk analysis. Take a look, first of all, at the costs of what is in there, as maybe a comparison to what could be available when you get to 59.5, and maybe you can start rolling this out.
But the other part of it, to retire or not to retire, is when folks are in their late 50s and their early 60s, do they realize how much risk they're taking in those 401ks? Are they still investing like they're in their 20s and 30s?
A lot of folks are, and it's by no fault to, that was just the way, and you just haven't changed your allocations, and time flies, and it's, snap, and all of a sudden we're 5 years later. I mean, COVID was 4 years ago when it first came out, and now it's like 4 years, it's been 4 years. It doesn't seem like it's been 4 years, but time flies. So, and how often do you actually look and visit to your 401k? To your credit, if you haven't touched your accounts, you probably benefited from that, because if you were trying to time the market and go in and out, that usually does not work out for folks. But now you're at the time where stock markets are at their all-time high, and we're at the 17-year high in interest rates. So we're just at a critical time where if you think retirement is a year away or 2 years away or 3 years away or 5 years, or if you simply just want to walk out the door on Monday and want to check out if you can retire, that's exactly why we want to work with people that are sort of questioning if I can retire. That's a perfect time to give us a call. It's a perfect reason to give us a call and figure out, and we'll put together your plan and give you the confidence to walk out the door on Monday if you want.
All right, last question here on determining for our viewers, can you retire and what that looks like and the kinds of questions that you answer. Do you find that people, especially let's say in that first half of retirement, do they tend to overspend or underspend?
Yeah.
What do you see more frequently?
Well, we've, one of the great people in our industry, 𝗃𝗵𝗃, actually coined a term, go-go years, slow-go years, and no-go years. And we do see that in that first sort of 5 to 10 years of retirement, people want to go-go, right? Those are those travel, those big trips, whether it's Europe or cruises we hear a lot that people want to do on. And I love sort of seeing pictures from our clients traveling the world and taking cruises and doing all those fun things. And then you sort of get into get into the next phase, which you just slow down a little bit. Maybe it's not Europe, maybe it's Florida or Arizona or something more domestic. And then you kind of, as you continue to age, you just don't travel as much, don't spend as much money. So we do see people, spending that fun money on the front end of your retirement. So if you're out there today and you're sitting there and you're wondering, drinking your cup of coffee, wondering if you can retire soon, if you can retire next year or the year after, give us a call at 888-379-1846. Again, that's 888-379-1846. We have people standing by to book you a call on our calendar, and we will help answer the question, can you retire? And we'll go through it by talking through your income, through your taxes, and setting up a retirement design specifically for you.
Billy Voiles, financial advisor, thank you so very much. As Billy just said, you can get your own retirement design, and that's no cost to you. Claim it right here, right now. Call that phone number down on the bottom of the screen or use that QR code. You can book your own appointment right there. No cost to you. Thank you so much for watching. Call Billy Voiles. Get your own financial advisor. We'll see you next week.